gentlemen, it is Wednesday, April the 15th, tax day in America. Got to submit your taxes, everybody. If you haven't paid your taxes, please do so immediately, or everyone will get mad at you. But it's April the 15th. We're 8 days away. T minus 8 days and counting until the NFL draft. And so, as we move forward in this process, one of the things we're going to do, we're going to have a Data Analytics Wednesday. We're going to take a look at some data. We're going to analyze it. We're going to see what's going on with this data analytics stuff. And then on Friday, we're going to have a film session. That's right. A film session about the same player that we talk about today in terms of data analytics. And then tomorrow, for the subscribers to the newsletter, Chemtrails, this is the Frankie newsletter right here. There's going to be a new article coming out tomorrow. You can see the Sunday newsletter came out on Sunday. We had an article about Geno Smith. We had an article about Carl Dunbar, the Glen fence, and a bunch of other stuff. And there will be another subject dropping tomorrow, so you may want to head over there. FrankieFromFlatbush.substack.com. It's free. Comes right into your email. Good to go as far as that is concerned. Phil Adams is here. He says, speak with data. Well, sometimes we do have to speak with the data. Sometimes we need to speak with the film study. Other times we want to analyze the news. Other times we want to do a business analysis. There's all sorts of analyses that we can do here on FSPN that you're not going to get anywhere else. So subscribe to the channel. Perhaps join the inner circle. That's down below with a join button. But we'll see who wants to gather for a Wednesday evening. We'll also come back on Friday with a film study. Perhaps Data Analytics Wednesday is not a good idea. If not too many people show up, then maybe we need a new idea for the Wednesday shows. But, as we think about this off season, it gets a little thin. The news gets a little thin. We have not received any kind of news from the Jets in quite a long time. So they still have the same roster holes that they've had for a few weeks now. And today is the last day of 30 visits. And so that's the end of that. Today's the final day, and Field Yates is reporting from 5 hours ago with bated breath on the final day that prospects are allowed to make pre-draft 30 visits. Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson is visiting the Arizona Cardinals today. Wow, super dramatical, crazy, and radical. But that's where we are in the news cycle, where people like Field Yates have to try to drum up some kind of drama, because really there's not a lot going on. Caleb Banks is going to the Raiders to visit them, and the Jets have, of course, done their 30 visits with plenty of people. And if you were a Inner Circle member, you would know the names of all those people because we keep track of it like nobody's business. Stay Woke TV is here. What's up, buddy? But right now I'm looking at my little doc thing and it's telling me 5 people in the room. So we'll see if other people want to join on a Wednesday before we kind of dive in to the data analytics. One of the things that was interesting to me, whenever I do a video that I think is really good and helpful and informative, nobody watches it. I dropped a video earlier about the weighted draft boards. Boy, did that one stink in terms of views. Couldn't get anybody to watch it. But I thought it was a pretty good video. Because, after all, we were talking about this. About a weighted draft board where you might have a vertical draft board full of these prospects over here with their grades. This is the Matt Miller grade. And you might think, well, all we got to do is just go and get our highest graded prospect, and then we'll be good to go. But the fact of the matter is, each position group has a weight to it. And so you have to multiply the score by the weight to get their actual value to the team. And you can see here, according to this, Arvel Reese has the most value to the Jets because Edge has the highest positional weight based on need of the roster. You might have different values for these position groups here, but this is sort of the philosophy or the thinking behind everybody's board. When they say, what? We set our board is locked in. This is what they're talking about. They may also include something called positional value into the equation as well, or they might not. They also might want to weigh these positions with a multi-year lens and view and say, all right, we're good at this position now, but where are we going to be in 2 or 3 years? Do we want to take that into account to how we determine these values? So this was just an example. And not a lot of people really into that one. Not a lot of people, I got to say. Stay Woke says, love the stuff you do. Oh, Ass Man is on, so that might be why we only have 5 in here. Jackass Man is on, and he's way more popular than old Frankie. So this may not be a great time to do a live stream if Jackass Man is going to be doing one, but so I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. Super fans over here. I mean, we got 5 people in the room. Stay Woke is telling me Jake Asman is on right now. So I'm not sure if we should go through with our data analytics with 5 people in the room and go trying to counter program against Jake Asman, who's very popular. I mean, he's also 2 feet tall. Did you know that Jake Asman is only 2 feet tall? That's really weird. But nonetheless, he's very popular. He has 43,000 subscribers or so. I only have 1,100, so 1,200 or so. So I'm way, way, way behind Jake Asman. And so that's disappointing. Imagine 43,000. I mean, it's hard for me to even imagine that many subscribers. But then again, he does do about 3 or 4 live streams per day. And so there's that. But whatever he's providing to people, they're obviously liking it. It's all about quality versus quantity. Well, no, Phil, it's all about subscribers. Because on YouTube, the more subscribers you have, the better you are. That's just the way it goes. Yeah, you don't have to like it. But if somebody has 43,000 and you have 1,200, that means that they are 43x better than you. So Jake Asman is 43 times better than old Frankie. That's called the market. He's a small guy. Just started back later. I'll definitely watch later. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. But whatever it is, he's offering something. But one thing that I can offer that nobody else will is this. You may wonder, how accurate, after all, are these people who we're told know everything about the draft? They're super accurate. You know, so I got 5 people up here. Kuiper, Let's make this a little bigger. We got Mel Kiper over here, Peter Schrager. We got Daniel Jeremiah, Todd McShithead, and Dane Brugler. These are big people, right? These are 5 of the biggest people out there. Now, some of the information's incomplete, you may notice. That's because some of these people have their information behind a paywall, and I'm not paying them any money to get it. So Kiper, for example, is on ESPN Plus. Todd McShithead has his own Beehive site. It's kind of like Patreon or Substack. And I can't get it. But whereas Schrager, Jeremiah, and Brugler at least put out their final mocks publicly. So this is a representation of how accurate has each person's final mock draft for the first round been over the years. And so you can see the best one on, and then we take an average. So McShay and Kiper are incomplete right now. So all we really have is Brugler, Jeremiah, and Schrager. So which one out of them is the best? Well, it's Dane Brugler, because he's 24% accurate. That means who he says the team is going to draft, they actually draft. 24% of the time he's been correct. And then Daniel Jeremiah, a lot of people think he's very correct. Well, 20%. And then Peter Schrager, I noticed he went on the Pat McAfee show the other day. They said, Peter Schrager's the most accurate draft predictor in the world. Really? You know how often he's right? 18% of the time. So, in fact, out of these 3, Brugler, Jeremiah, Schrager's the least accurate. So, but if you look at this, it's interesting because the best they can do is really be wrong 76% of the time. That's the best they can do. So when you see these nationals, I wouldn't pay too much attention to them. They can't even get a quarter of the picks right. So now some years they do a little better than others, but for the most part, no bueno. So if you know of any way to get the information for McShay or Kiper, let me know. Hit me up on X or Instagram or somewhere so I could get these numbers. It'd be interesting to see how McShithead does and also Kiper. Kiper's 9% in 2023 was sort of a famous year for him. That's way, way below anybody's, and he's supposed to be one of the best. You know, they hold these guys up, especially Kiper and McShithead. They hold them up to be the best. And one year he got 9% correct. 9%. That's like 3 players. 3 out of 32. No bueno. But he makes millions and millions of dollars on ESPN telling you who the teams are going to pick. And then he gets 3 out of 32 right? Oh, that's not too good. But still, so I would say probably around 20% is what these guys do. You see, Brugler's got 24, Jeremiah 20, Schrager 18, 20, 21%. That's what you get. So should we pay attention to some of these people when they come out with their final mocks and all of this? Well, the data says no. Smitty's here. Walking Lucy. Howie K is here. Howie's here. People are starting to filter in. So let me know what you think about these mocksters. You know. And also let me know if you can get access. Like Mel Kiper's drafts are all behind ESPN Plus paywall. I'm not giving them any money. But maybe you're an ESPN Plus subscriber. And you can grab it and tell me how accurate he's been. Because that would help us fill out our tracking device here. And same thing with McShithead. Maybe you want to pay him a little bit of money. Or maybe you do already and get his historical. Because I couldn't grab it. So let me know about that. All right. Because I think it's important to know. Like, so for example, one of the reasons I had this idea is because if you notice the Nationals, Jeremiah, McShay, not Brugler, Schrager, Kuiper, they're all saying we're taking David Bailey, for example. But all the people who actually follow the Jets, whether it's Rosenblatt, Cimini, Hughes, Connor Rogers, Joe Caparoso, Will Parkinson, anybody who pays attention to the Jets, the Jets X Factor guys, all the locals, I guess you could call them, they're all saying we're taking Arvell Reese. And one of the reasons I think that these people get so much wrong is because, well, number one, it's hard to predict these things, but number two, they have to know about 32 teams. Like, it's pretty hard to know about all 32 teams in depth. They know the basics, but how much are they going to really look into the fact that the Jets hired Carl Dunbar, for example? Are they really going to give a shit? I mean, they have so many teams. There's 32 teams. They really can't go in depth, especially for teams that are pretty much irrelevant, like the Jets have been for 15, 16 years, right? So are they going to really go and do a deep dive on the Jets? It's also kind of boring to do deep dives into bad teams. How much bad football do you want to watch, So I understand why, but at the same time, it just gives us an idea of how much we should pay attention to these national prognosticators. So let me know if you have any access to that. Let me also check here. This thing here. Okay. Da da da. So that's good to go. Check the comments. Sometimes when the comments stop, then I have to check and make sure everything is working. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about a player. A player? Yeah, a player. A lot of people have forgotten that we acquired David Onyemata. And you might be saying to yourself, who cares about David Onyemata? But David Onyemata, which is a defensive tackle on our team that we did sign, is actually a very key player. I think he's going to be our starting nose tackle. And so you may wonder to yourself, well, how good is he? Can we look at the data to find out? So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at David Onyemata. You see some of his data right here. So we're going to do data analytics today, but then Friday we'll take a film study look at David Onyemata and look at the film and see him on the football field. But first, we'll take a look at these numbers. And then tomorrow on the Substack, all the Substack subscribers will be getting an article about David Onyemata. Where did he come from? What's his origins? Does he have an interesting backstory? Well, if you are a subscriber to Chemtrails, Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com, you would know tomorrow morning because it would come right into your inbox. But as of right now, we picked up some data points. Now, he's a defensive tackle, so this is not going to be, chock full of interesting data points. When I start doing some offensive players, it's going to be a lot, we'll have a lot more to work with. For these defensive players that typically don't rack up a lot of stats, especially defensive tackles, they typically don't get a lot of sacks or even really tackles for that matter. What we took is the PFF overall score over here and then said, well, where does that rank for interior D linemen? And then what was their run grade and where does that rank? And their pass grade and where does that rank? And then their missed tackle percentage. And where does that rank? And then how many run stops do they have? Because he's primarily a run stuffer. And where does that rank over the last 5 years so that we can get a good idea of what we're getting in this David Onyemata fella? And what we can see here, if we just look at the ranks, You can see how he performed. If you look at the PFF overall rank here, you know, a couple of times, 3 times he's been in the top 10 for defensive interior. And then he has these 2 outlier years out here, 2022 and 2024. And it's basically similar. And then if you look at the run defensive rank, 10-5-9. So he's been a top 5 run defender as recently as 2023. So that's exciting. But he's been in the top 10 again 3 times in the last 5 years, and then 2 other years not so good. But what about his pass defense? Well, he's not so great there. He's basically a run stuffer, as you can see, 48, 88, 27, 31. He's not terrible. He was top 15 once. So he's not, exactly Dexter Lawrence over here. Missed tackle rank, getting better every year. If you look at it, he was 83rd in 2021, 58th in 2022, 30th in 2023. Then he was top 25 in 2024, and then he was top 11 in 2025. So in terms of missed tackles, he's getting better every year. And then as far as run stops, again, he had this outlier year, 85th in 2021, but then 38th, 32nd, 51st, and then 12th. So he did have a really nice year last year. And, you may be saying, well, how is he getting better? Because he's also kind of on the older side. I mean, he's 33 years old. I mean, why is it, for example, his missed tackles are getting better and better and better every single year? 83rd, 58th, 30th, 23rd, 11th. Well, as those people who are subscribed to the Frankie Substack will learn tomorrow, he's a guy who was late to football. He's originally from Nigeria, and then he went to school, high school, and then college in Canada. And that's where the NFL found him. But he was not one of these kids who's been playing football his whole life. And so, American football anyways. And so, that being the case, I think he's probably a little bit of a late bloomer. And, you pair this guy with Carl Dunbar. Can we get more top 10 out of him? Can he be a consistent top 10 guy? PFF overall top 10 defensive interior player. In defensive rank, it's probably not realistic to think he's going to rank too highly against the pass. But missed tackles, this could certainly improve. And so that would be good. We need people who are not going to miss tackles, and we need people who are going to have a lot of run stops. We didn't have many of those last year, and so that's what we're really looking for out of Mr. Onyemata. And when you pair him, with, let's say he's our starter, Tavondre Sweat is his backup, and they're both going to get a lot of playing time because they'll probably split it up 50-50. And then to the left and right is going to be Harrison Phillips and Jawan Briggs. And then we need 1 or 2 more. We still have Mozzie Smith on the roster, but we need to get at least 1 DT in the draft and then probably sign one after the draft. But if you think about the 3 in the middle that are going to be 2-gapping, it's going to be probably a lot of the time it's going to be Onyemata and Phillips and Briggs. And that's a pretty good trio, especially against the run. So that is very exciting. That is very exciting. So there you go. Some data analytics on a Wednesday. Phil says, Jeremiah and Schrager come over okay, but take everything they say as just entertainment. Yeah, they're not accurate. The way they treat them, you would think that they were super accurate. Chris says, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up here on a Data Analytics Wednesday. Stay Woke said, I heard Jeremiah said Jets punting on quarterback until next year. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. I don't think he knows that. That is risky. So we'll have to see. We'll know after the draft. I don't think he knows That's been a popular notion. A lot of national people have said that. What I have said is that it's probably a matter of value. So probably, almost certainly not going to take Ty Simpson, for example, at 16. But if he's available at 33, or better yet, 44, then it becomes a value. So I think they're not in a rush to take a quarterback. They're not in a desperate situation in their minds. And so therefore, it's going to be a matter of value. You know, probably if Simpson's there at 44, they probably take him. It's too good of a value to pass up. But if he's not, they're also okay with that, and they're not going to reach and get any old quarterback there. They're going to have values on Aller and Peyton and whoever else. So then if Aller's there in the fourth round at 103, they can take him there. That's where they have him valued at. But if he's gone, no problem. We'll just take whatever makes sense. So the way I would think about it is they're probably going to run this draft, let's hope and pray, in a very smart way where the board is going to come to them. And they're going to have values on everyone. And if it lines up where the quarterback available is in line with their value for what they have on him, then they'll go ahead and grab him. And if not, then not. I mean, it is a little strange that we're a week out from the draft. We don't even have a backup quarterback unless they feel really good about Bailey Zappi, which is really concerning, or unless they have some sort of handshake agreement with Tyrod. Maybe Tyrod is just a theory. I don't know. Maybe Tyrod wants to play for the Jets, or that's it, or call it quits. Because don't forget, Tyrod Taylor played for the Giants for a few years. Then he played with the Jets. So I'm sure he's got a nice place in Jersey. He's made up a ton of money in his career. Maybe he doesn't want to move. Maybe he doesn't want to play for anybody else. Maybe he told the Jets, look, I'm happy to come back if you want me as a backup to Geno, but I'm not going to sign anywhere else. You don't have to worry about it. So however the draft or whatever other developments play out, I'm good. But I don't know. That could be going on. I don't know. Probably get a notice today that we'll probably get a notice today that Tyrod Taylor signs with somebody. But we do have some news. 18 minutes ago, Connor Hughes is reporting that Texas Tech pass rusher David Bailey was supposed to have a 30 visit with the Jets. I assume that means today. The team decided to cancel that visit. Well, what does that mean? And that's according to his sources. So the Jets obviously want this out there. I don't know what this means. It could mean that they're satisfied. They don't need any more information from David Bailey. They already were at Texas Tech's Pro Day. So they've met with him. They've met with the young man already. So maybe they have all the information they need, and they didn't feel the need to meet with him. Or maybe they've decided they're not going to draft him no matter what. And so I don't know. That's weird. And then Hughes is talking about Colton Hood. Colton Hood is a guy, a cornerback that, he's been linked to the Jets a number of times, and he's a good prospect. We really have other needs that are much more important than cornerback, though. So I wouldn't mind getting Colton Hood. He's a good player, and I'd be happy to have him on the team. But at the same time, I'd be worried about our other needs. I mean, defensive tackle is a sneaky need on this team. Nobody's talking about. Maybe it's not sexy to talk about defensive tackles. Maybe I'll just talk about them constantly then. But we really only have four. I mean, depending on what you think about Mozzie Smith, and you really need six. I mean, if you count Mozzie, there's five, but Mozzie Smith has stunk so far, completely stunk as an NFL player, which is weird because he was a big prospect coming out of Michigan, but maybe Carl Dunbar thinks he can get something out of him. But either way, you need at least one more. And you wait on those guys. There's not a ton of them in this draft, and they totally punted on that position last year, much to their mistake. So I don't know. You got to watch with these local guys. So Hughes saying something about Hood, and now he's saying something about Bailey. You got to watch that because you know that Hughes has sources with the Jets, of course. So this is certainly not coming from Bailey's agent or the Texas Tech boosters. They would not put out there that Bailey's supposed to have a 30 visit with the Jets and the team decided to cancel the visit. Again, this is weird news. I'm not sure what to make of it. I don't know. What do you guys make of this news? JoJo's here. All the draft guys trying to create excitement. Everything Muji's done this offseason seems controlled. He seems to have stuck on his values on players. Yeah. Well, let me know what you guys think about this latest news. Here it is from Connor Hughes. Sources. Texas Tech pass rusher David Bailey was supposed to have a 30 visit with the Jets. The team decided to cancel that visit. I'm not sure what to make of that. It could mean they just didn't need any more information out of him. They got their evaluation. There's nothing more we could learn from a visit. Therefore, no reason to meet. Could mean they're settled on Reese at 2, and there's no need to meet with Bailey because of that reason. I don't know. Could mean they found some red flag in his history that they don't like about him, and they took him off the board. I don't know. Seems unlikely, but I don't know. JoJo says maybe Woods or McDonald will be available at 33. Yeah. Muji playing 4D chess with the Bailey visit. But I don't know what the 4D chess is. I mean, what does this even mean? I don't know. And what value does it have coming out like this? It's pretty obvious the Jets gave this information to Hughes for some reason. But the question is, what is the reason? And nobody in the national media or other Jet writers are commenting on it. So obviously the Jets wanted that out there. The question is why? And I don't know. And then Hughes' next tweet is about Colton Hood, the cornerback. And this is not sourced, but he says, would keep an eye on cornerback Colton Hood. He's rising up the boards and fits Aaron Glenn. So this seems like smoke signals that the Jets are putting out through Hughes. I think everybody knows that Colton Hood is a really good cornerback, and that basically any team would like Colton Hood. I mean, there's very few teams would take a talent like that and say, well, he's not for us. He fits any mold, pretty much. I mean, so I'm not sure what the point of this is either, other than maybe the Jets are just putting up a bunch of smoke screens to get people, I don't know, for whatever reason. But it seems pretty obvious that's what's happening. He has 2 tweets within 7 minutes of each other. It's pretty obvious he received like a data dump from the Jets. Now, what are we supposed to make of it? I don't know. Wait, let me check the, hold on. This is why it's good to have lists on X. Let's see if the Badlands bros have any commentary on this. Well, Interestingly, Joe Caporoso said, based on somebody said Bailey just fell to 17% to be the number 2 pick on Kalshi. Kalshi is a place where you can make bets. And Bailey had been rising these past few weeks up to like 30, 40%. So apparently now it's down to 17%. But Joe Caporoso says that feels too severe off the visit cancellation news, but going to drop a few minutes on this in our upcoming episode. Oh, okay, so I guess we'll have to wait to see what they think about it. So I don't know, maybe this just all means that really the Jets are solidified on Reese. And maybe the Jets wanted this news out there so they want people to think or to know that they're solidified on Reese, so that maybe, hey, if you want Reese, you're going to have to give us a lot because we're solidified. We're so solidified, we canceled our visit with David Bailey. We're locked in. It's that time in the process where everybody's locking up their boards now. So maybe, and everybody knows that. Everybody's pretty much in lockstep throughout the whole league. Everybody knows that. So if we're canceling a visit and we're getting the news out there that we canceled the visit, then maybe we want people to think, all right, they're locked in for Arvell. And if you maybe they get the sense that some teams really, really, really want Arvell. And if that's the case, then they're trying to gin up a massive trade offer to come up and get him. And maybe that's what they're doing. They want people to think, well, the Jets are really locked in on Reese. So if we want Reese, we're going to have to give them a huge package. That could be going on. So we'll have to see. Stay Woke says, do you think Bain will fall to 16? And if he does, do we take, though he has a scandal going in right now? Well, he does not have a scandal. So he got into a car accident as a student, and it's not a scandal. He got into a car accident, and someone, unfortunately, in his car was injured very badly, went into a coma, and passed away, unfortunately. And it's all settled and taken care of. The person's family said, this is settled. We want Mr. Bain to have a nice career. It's all in the past. It's just an unfortunate thing that happened. So it's not a scandal. He doesn't have any scandals. He was driving and got into an accident, and someone unfortunately died. And that's unfortunate, but it's not scandalous. He was not drunk. He was not on drugs. He was, it was just he got cited for careless driving, which just means, you got into an accident, basically. So if he fell to 16, yeah, we'd grab him. Yeah, we would take him. There's no doubt about it. He's not going to fall to 16, though. Although, well, yeah, you'd have to take him. I mean, he's just too good not to take. And like I said, it's not a scandal. He was not driving drunk. He was not speeding at all. He was not under the influence of drugs or anything like that. He just got into a car accident. That's all. I mean, it's sad. It's terrible that happened, but it does happen to people in life that car accidents do happen, So Phil says, so tonight all the other GMs could be thinking why the Jets don't seem interested. Do the Jets know something they don't? Well, what good would that do the Jets, Phil? I mean, if the Jets are putting out the information, they have to think that there's some advantage to putting it out. What, so Bailey could drop to 16? Maybe Muji's trying to get Bailey to drop to 16. I mean, if you got Reese and Bailey, that'd be too much, though, at one position. So I don't know. I don't really know what the purpose of this is. The only thing I could think is that they want teams to think they're locked in on Reese, and that's their guy. And if you want us to come off of Reese, you're going to have to blow us away with a Godfather package. And that way, Muji's probably thinking, all right, look, we really do want Reese. If nobody gives us the Godfather package, we just take him, no problem. But if somebody does come up and give us that, then we'll make the move. Only then and only then. So this seems to me a way to try and gin up some incredible offers in the next week, if possible. And maybe somebody goes crazy for Arvell, and maybe they don't. But either way, if we really love Arvell, then we just sit there and take him, and it's no problem. And then we see who falls to us at 16. I could see the Jets trying to make maybe a minor move up if one of the wide receivers we love is sliding a little bit, and we're worried, say, about the Rams taking him or something like that. Maybe go from 16 to 11, something like that, and just grab the wide receiver we really, really want instead of risking it. I could see that happening. So I guess that's some news. Nobody's really commenting on this at all. Hughes is the only one who has it, so that's also an indication that, obviously the Jets gave Hughes some info. They didn't give it to anybody else, because if they did, they would have put it out, and so they have not. Let's check some of the people who are not really big time, like Antoine Staley. No, he's not even tweeting about football. Okay, so, he's tweeting all about basketball and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Is Brian Costello even awake or alive? I feel like he's not really on top of his game. Let's see if Kaz has anything on it. No. Just some mock drafts and some stuff. Yeah, the only one who's commented on this is Joe Caporoso. Kind of unsurprising because, uh, at this point, the Badlands bros have gotten so big that any little piece of news, they're going to have something on it. Joe Blewett is now commenting, and he's basically saying this means what I said. It's Reese. He put out a little gif of Arvell. So basically, yeah, Blewett is of the same idea that I had, which means that we're locked in with Arvell. Or we want people to think we're locked in on Arvell Reese. So yeah, Joe Blewett of the same mind as me. Caporoso said something similar, and the odds of us taking Bailey have apparently dropped significantly on Kalshi. Let's check Kalshi, shall we? Of all the betting sites, Kalshi is my favorite because they're not the house. You may say, what? Well, everybody, for all of the betting that you can do on Kalshi, somebody's always on the other side of your bet. It's another human being, not Kalshi. And so right now, David Bailey, team to draft, Arvell Reese, the Jets, 57%. Where's the one that shows where that is? Team to draft, Ty Simpson. Arizona's at 41%. The Jets are at 17%. So this betting market prefers Arizona to take Ty Simpson. I'm going to make this bet right here. Pro football playoff qualifications. I could bet on the Jets making the playoffs. But I don't see where they have Bailey versus, like which guy will the Jets take? They just say which team is more likely to draft this guy. Team to draft. So I'm not sure where they're getting this from. Pro Football New York Jets first position drafted 95% defensive lineman. Well, yeah, but here it is. No, this has it at 38% for Bailey, so I don't know where that guy was talking about it. So Arvell Reese is up 4. He's up to 62%. So I don't think that person who was speaking to Caparoso was correct. This has it right here. Number 2 overall pick, which is the Jets, Arvell Reese 61%, Bailey 38%, Love 1%. So I don't know where that guy got that 17 from. I mean, here it is right here. $61.38. Oh, now he's down to 33. Oh, he's dropping. But the guy said 17, so I don't know where he got that from. Yeah. 61.33 and Love 1%. So, Arvell is increasing maybe as this news gets out. Bailey's decreasing, looks like. Oh, now down to 21%. Changing in real time. Maybe when that guy looked at it, it went all the way down to 17. It's very interesting. Well, now it's down to 21%. Let's just stay right here and see how the betting markets change over the next 5 minutes. Now it's back up to 33%. What is going on here? This is why betting is a little risky. Well, risky. Phil, who do we think would overpay the most for Reese? Well, every team would love to have him, basically. I don't know. It's a good question. The Cowboys would really love him. Any team could use him, but overpay for him? Like Cincinnati, maybe? Miami? I mean, Miami would be really interesting because they're rebuilding. They have a young team anyway. He could grow with, he could develop without expectation of winning. Nobody expects the Dolphins to win this year. Maybe Miami, but we're not going to trade with Miami like that. Probably Dallas. But Dallas to come from 12 to 2, I mean, they would have to give us so much. They're not going to do it. We would probably want 12, 20. We already have their first rounder next year. We would probably want 12, 20, a first rounder in 28, and probably a second rounder in 27. And even then, I don't know. I don't want to go to 12. Just take Reese. just freaking don't complicate it. Wouldn't mind trading up for Tate if he's still on the board at 7. Yeah. 7's kind of far, though. I would rather trade with Miami, who needs a lot of stuff, so they probably wouldn't mind moving back just to get ahead of Dallas. Well, or Dallas, really. Just to get ahead of the Rams and Baltimore. Baltimore needs offensive linemen as well, but they could also take a wide receiver. The Rams could take a wide receiver. They also need offensive line. You don't know what they're going to do. But I would like to go from 16 to 12. Everybody wants us to trade with Washington for some reason, I guess. But that's a long way to go. We would have to give Washington way more than we would have to give, say, Dallas just to get ahead of the Rams. Because Dallas is not going to take a wide receiver under any circumstances. So I just go to 12. Now, Taters is probably not going to be there, though. But if if Taters goes and Tyson goes and Lemon's sitting there and we really love Lemon, Cincinnati's not going to take a wide receiver. I mean, it's weird because New Orleans could take a wide receiver. The Chiefs could always, although they have lots of other needs. The only teams that really are not going to definitely take a wide receiver are Cincinnati and Dallas. Yeah, I don't know that I want to give what it would take to get all the way up to 7. But that's why we have the buckets, and that's why I say, look, even if it's Cooper or Boston at 16, it's fine, and we probably won't need to move to get there. So then you keep all of your picks. Woke says the Raiders, no. It doesn't feel like they want to come off of it. It seems like they want Mendoza. They said they've gotten a few calls. I'm sure we made calls, but they're going to want they're going to want a haul. So as far as anybody knows, they just want Fernando, and so doesn't seem like it. Friggle D, the Frigglemeister's here. Well, it's always changing, obviously, because people are betting it up or down. Right now, looking at it, it's at 32%. So it's when you make your when you make your trade now, it's up to 49%. So it's fluctuating all the time based on what people want to bet on. So now Reese is down to 60% and Bailey's up to 49, and before we saw it was 21. So I don't think it's fair to say X is the case. It's not that solidified. It's changing every 2 minutes. So to go to somebody and say, "Hey, this guy's down to 17%," that's not, it was when you looked at it, but I don't think it's a good thing to say. Friggle D. So let's say we take Bailey. Do we trade Will McDonald then for a third? Can we get a third for Will? You're right. Just take Reese. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, just take Reese. Like, Reese is way more valuable than a third round pick. Just take Reese. Connor Rogers came on the air today and said something that I agree with. He said there, although not completely, of course, but he said basically, in his opinion, there were 3 blue chip prospects in this draft: Downs, Love, and Reese. Those are his 3 blue chippers. I'd probably throw Sonny Styles in there as well. That's where I disagree with him. So if that's the case, just take one of the blue chippers. We need as much blue chip talent as we can possibly get. It's hard for us to get blue chip talent. We got to think about things as the Jets. That's why my thing here says Jets unpaid scout, unpaid Jet scout. Because I'm looking at things from the Jets' perspective. It's a lot harder for us to obtain free agents that are blue chippers than a normal team. Not everybody's going to want to come to us. So when we have a chance to go get a blue chipper in the draft, just get him. Don't play games just for a third round pick. Just go get a blue chip talent. Would you rather have Reese and McDonald on the team, or Bailey and whoever you get in the third round? Is the way to think about that. And for me, give me Reese and McDonald. McDonald and Bailey are the same thing. Maybe Bailey will be a little bit better, but they're essentially the same thing. So you already have one. Just go get the other. And Reese and Connor Rogers isn't alone in thinking that Reese is one of the few blue chippers. I think most people would put Sonny Styles in that blue chip category as well. And maybe some other people would have a few other players as a blue chip, say, but there's not that many of them in this draft. So go get the one you can get. Don't mess around. I think that's what Muji's doing. As far as I could tell, maybe I'll think of something before the next live stream on Friday. But as of right now, the way I think about it, this news, in case you missed it, Connor Hughes, 45 minutes ago, put out this tweet. Quote, sources, Texas Tech pass rusher David Bailey was supposed to have a 30 visit with the Jets. The team decided to cancel that visit. End of tweet. So the question is, why are the Jets putting this out through Connor? They're obviously putting it out through Connor, and they obviously have a reason that they're doing that. The two thoughts that I saw from Joe Caporoso and Joe Blewett are that this means they're just solidified and locked in on Reese, which could be very well could be the case. I added that, yeah, that's probably the case, and also they want people to know they're locked in on Reese, so that way, in case anybody else really, really wants Reese, they're going to have to. They now know they're going to have to give us a Godfather offer to come off of Arvell. And so maybe this is their way of letting the teams know that, hey, we finished our process. 30 visits are over. We didn't even want to meet with Bailey because we love Arvell Reese so much. And let's hope that's the case. And if anybody wants to trade with us, well, you're going to have to just give us so much that it's crazy. And even I really doubt anybody's going to really do that. So it probably ultimately means that we're sticking where we are and picking Reese, and that'll be just fine with me. And then at 16, we can do whatever we want. We can see how the board is falling, and if we really have one of the guys higher than the other, and he's falling, and it looks like we got to jump, the Rams or the Cincinnati. To me, I would go as high up to like Cincinnati sitting at 10. They need a lot of stuff. So if you give them extra picks, that helps them. And plus, they go back to 16. They can probably get a really good defensive player there anyway. And then they get extra picks to help because they really need to because their defense is very bad. And they paid all that money for Burrow and Higgins and Chase. So they got no money for anybody else, which means they got to make it up in the draft. So to me, going up to 16 would probably be the highest I would go. I mean, going up to 10 from 16. Get ahead of everybody who might need a wide receiver, which includes Miami, Rams, Ravens. If you just really, really love someone and he's sitting there after Kansas City picks, get to 10, get your guy, and get out of day one with a pretty good haul. That's what I could see happening. Or you sit and wait and see, and it's either a wide receiver or all your wide receivers are gone, and that means somebody slipped. And you just hit up your defense. And then pick 33 and 44 probably got to be wide receivers then, you would think. So we'll see. Jojo says only 2 to 3 blue chip players this draft and possibly only 12 first round graded. Yeah, that's the other thing. And so, but that really doesn't matter for us. I mean, that's where, this is where the valuation of the wide receivers comes in. And let's say you have 3 of those guys as first rounders. I would have 6, but let's say the Jets love the top 3 of those, and one of them is falling, and you think you can get him, or you can get him at 10, then maybe go up and get him. Now you're in the top 10. Now you're one of the blue chippers, and you got one of the first round graded guys also, and now you're sitting pretty. And then at 33 and 44, you're going to have to take, a worse wide receiver, and that way, but, then you take 2 of them. That's why I say if you do that and you're not giving up pick 44, hopefully in the trade to get up to 10, then, or you might have to give that one up. But if you don't, then 33 and 44 almost have to be wide receivers then, because you're not sure if one of those guys is going to be as good as you need him to be. So take 2, and that way you increase your odds of them being as good as you need them to be. So, yeah. It's a shame that it's a shame that the Colts were 8 and 9, but so were the Bucks, the Ravens, and the Falcons. It would have been amazing if we could have been at 13 because they had the same record, but it was strength of schedule that killed it. Yeah. Oh, well, we're sitting at 16. So Bailey's at 37% now on Kalshi. Yeah, we should probably stop watching this. That's not going to help us. The fog of war. Yeah. Phil Adams, any potential trade partner will want pick 33. Is there a player worth 1633 and a fourth? 1633. No, no. Now, what we'd like to do really, if you move up, let's say you have to use 44 to move up to 10, say. Maybe that's the trade right there. We give them 16 and 44. They give us 10. All right, now we lost 44. But we have 33, so we will see how the board plays out. Then at 33, you trade back to recoup that pick. That's what you want to do. Because almost certainly somebody's going to want to come up to 33. So hopefully you move back, get something in the 30s, and then get something in the 40s. And now you've went and gotten your wide receiver, and you still have your 2 second-round picks. And you can still, and it's pretty much the same, except you moved up and got a better player at 10. So that's the way to think about that. We probably have to give Cincinnati 44. That's good value for them. They just move back 6 spots, get a defensive player anyways, and now they get an extra good player at 44, so they like that trade. And then we take 33, trade that, get back our pick in the 40s. Now we have our 2 second-round picks back, and now we can still get 2 players in the second round. That's the way to really think about it. Hi, Karate is here. We've gone over some data analytics today. We went over some data analytics, but I think a lot more people have shown up since we did that. So I'm going to quickly go review again some of the data analytics. This is supposed to be Data Analytics Wednesday. So we're going to take a look at 2 different things. Let's take a look at these mock drafters, these professional mock drafters. They're making millions and millions of dollars. And so how accurate have they really been? Dane Brugler, Daniel Jeremiah, Peter Schrager, they put out their picks, their final mock drafts. They put it out publicly so you can go back and find them on the internet and see how accurate they were. Now, McShay and Kuiper are behind paywalls. So if anybody has an ESPN Plus account or whatever McShay's on, The Ringer or Beehive, wherever he is, if you're paying him money, and you can go back and see how accurate his picks were in the first round, historically, let me know so I could fill in this information. But as far as Brugler goes, his average correct rate was only 24% from 25 to 21. Daniel Jeremiah, his hit rate was 20%. Peter Schrager, who Pat McAfee called the most accurate mock drafter in the business, no, 18% correct on average. So that's one reason why listening to these nationals is probably not a good idea. At best, Dane Brugler, who doesn't, I don't think anybody buys off Dane Brugler, but these other guys are very compromised. But the best he can do, even without bias, etc., 24% on average. Not the best he can do. On average, 24%. You look at 2021, he got that 41% right. So that was a nice one for him. But 24%, so 76% of the time he's wrong on average. So that's these 3. Now, David Onyemata is a guy on our team, and you might want to know, how good is this David Onyemata? So the data analytics for David Onyemata are as follows. And if you're a subscriber to the Frankie Substack, Frankie from flatbush.substack.com, you will be getting an article about Mr. David Onyemata to learn about him a little more in case you didn't know about him. And then on Friday, we'll come back and do a live stream where we're doing Film Study Friday with David Onyemata, so you can see him in action. But this is what the data analytics look like for Mr. Onyemata. Over the last 5 years, this is his PFF overall rank: 10, 48, 7, 36, 7. So 3 out of 5 years, very good in the top 10. His defensive rank, according to PFF, 10, 35, 5, 46, 9. Again, 3 years in the top 10 out of the last 5. His pass rush rank, in terms of the score, where that ranks in the PFF grades, not so good. 48, 88, 27, 31, 15. His missed tackle rank is getting better and better. He was 83rd in the league here in 2021. Then he was 58th. Then he was 30th. Then he was 23rd. Then he was 11th. So you can see his missed tackle rate is just getting better and better at his tackling, which is important because he plays defense. And his run stops rank, where does he rank in the league in terms of number of run stops for all defensive linemen, not just defensive interior linemen? 85th, 38th, 32nd, 51, and last year, top 12. A lot of run stops. So he had a really nice year last year. You might think he's getting up there in age and saying, well, this guy's an older player. And so what are we really getting after all? Because isn't he up there in age? Well, he doesn't play like it, and we'll see that on Friday. And one of the reasons is because he's a bit of a late bloomer. He came over from Nigeria to Canada for high school, went to high school in Canada, went to college in Canada, and then did not get an invite to the combine, but did have a pro day. And after he impressed everybody at the pro day, he did get drafted in the 4th round. So that's what we got as far as data analytics is concerned. Do tap the like button as you come in or before you leave. But that's what we got for a Data Analytics Wednesday. There is some news regarding the referees. Per Adam Schefter, 5 minutes ago, the NFL has started onboarding potential replacement officials as the expiration of its collective bargaining agreement with the NFL Referees Association approaches. Clubs were informed Wednesday in a memo. So the NFL is getting ready to hire replacement refs. They also said that the league remains committed to reaching a fair and reasonable agreement with the Referees Association, but will be fully prepared should the current agreement expire on May 31st. So they're hiring people, they're training them up, they're getting them ready just in case. We'll have to see what that's all about. We'll have to see how that ends. But the only other news as far as the Jets were concerned were leakages that leaked through Connor Hughes to Connor Hughes. The Jets put out that Texas Tech pass rusher David Bailey was supposed to have a 30 visit with the Jets, but the team decided to cancel that visit. What that means exactly, we don't know for sure, but the speculation is that means that they're solidified on RVL Reset 2, or perhaps they want people to think that they're solidified with the Reset 2, and therefore anybody who wants that pick will have to come up and take it from them with a Godfather offer only. And then Connor Hughes also has a sort of a strange tweet about Colton Hood out of nowhere. He just kind of says it would keep an eye on Colton Hood for the Jets to draft him. So that also seems like a smokescreen that the Jets are putting out there randomly about Colton Hood. Hey, we could take Colton Hood. We love Colton Hood. Which I'm sure they do like him, but seems weird for Connor Hughes to randomly be tweeting about Colton Hood, especially because, as we all know, Connor Hughes has no idea who Colton Hood is. Or really any of these college players. He's not a football fan. He's a big golf fan, as we all know. And so he doesn't know anything about college football. He doesn't watch college football. He has no idea what it's all about. But he does know that he likes putting his little white balls into small holes on the golf course, that is. So We do know that, and so it's just odd that Connor Hughes would just be randomly tweeting about some player he has no idea who he is. So you have to believe then that the Jets are putting this out as some sort of smokescreen, trial balloon, whatever you want to call it. And so not sure what that's going to get them or what's going or what how effective that's going to be. But that's where we are on this Wednesday, April the 15th, 2026, 8 days, T-minus 8 days and counting until the NFL draft. My name is Frankie from Flatbush. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please give it a thumbs up and consider joining the Inner Circle where you get extra stuff all over the place for $2 a month. I'll see you guys on Friday for Film Study Friday. Coming up.